Welcome to the panelists, and thank you for being here tonight.
Just to make it simple on my somewhat adult brain, I'm tempted to introduce Emily M. Towns based upon the blurbs on her latest book.
Don't do that.
It suggests that basically she sits on both the left and the right hand side of God simultaneously. So I will be somewhat more formal than that. Emily Towns is the Andrew W. Mellon, she's the inaugural, the first Andrew W. Mellon Professor of African American Religion and Theology at YALE Divinity School. It's a slight misnomer. She's actually a professor of African American Religion and Ethics. She's also an ordained Baptist minister.
American
Baptist. I appreciate that. I understand. She has a Doctor of Ministry degree from University of Chicago and a PhD in Religion and Society and Personality from Northwestern. She actually is the president-elect of the American Academy of Religion, which is the largest professional society in religion, in academic religion in the galaxy. She's has a couple of collections of essays, one of which is a womanist perspectives on evil and suffering, and the other is womanist perspectives on hope, salvation, and transformation. I've actually read the right of the poem. These are both titles of poems being an academic. One of them is on suffering, evil and suffering, and the other is on hope, salvation, and transformation. Her most recent book, Women's Ethics and the Cultural Production of Evil, was released in November of this year. I could say more, I won't, and I will turn this to
So I'm going to start a little more from history and memory and experience, and begin with my own experience growing up in the Black United Methodist Church. That was Asbury Temple United Methodist Church, a little church by the side of the road where everybody's somebody in Christ is the Lord. Now, I say that because one, it almost always gets a chuckle, but second, I still remember that 51 years later. And that says something about the ministry and the position of that black church in Durham, North Carolina in the 50s and 60s, and the kinds of ministries and witness and convictions and politics that came out of that church. And primarily, what I found in that church, probably idealized through childhood memories, but deciding it was probably a good idea that it might be something good to carry into history, was a combination of spirituality and social witness. And what I have discovered over the years is when the black church, in whatever form it takes, and the black church is nobody agrees what exactly a black church is. For instance, in Brazil, where there are more black people than in the United States, and second only to the continent of Africa, they have nothing that they call a black church. So that gives you some sense of the kind of complexity of not in some way, shape, or fashion, holding both spirituality and social witness. That church is in trouble. And more importantly, the people and the community and the state and the region and the country that church sits in is in trouble. Because something else has happened, something else has taken over in that church in ways in which there's no longer a balance or an attempted balance. And in that, I think what you find is a sense in which, in that kind of balance between spirituality and social witness, you find both the pastor or pastors and the laity pushing each other towards excellence. And when that's not a piece of what's going on in the church, something vital is missing. Something gets lost, something gets co-opted, something is no longer in place of ways that ministry can then inform the body politic in that city or wherever, even in that community. One loses a tremendous amount And so for me, at least, when I think about the role of the Black church in the community, it is to be that sort of vital motive engine pushing not only that church, but that community into excellence. And I'm talking about excellence not in accumulation, not in possession, not in the sense of, well, we've got the biggest bus ministry, and we've got the best chandeliers, and we've got the most things that are only putting check marks, but not having an impact in people's lives in ways that are profound and lasting, and then invite those people to then share that with somebody else. So in other words, what I'm saying here is the role of the Black church is to not look at its ministry as a possession, or the gospel message as a possession, because it's not, it's a gift. And gifts are meant to be both received and to be given. And for me at least, when the Black church is doing that, when Black churches are doing that as best they can, because it's not going to be perfect. You know, I'm Baptist, so I don't believe in perfection. We aim towards something better. That when that can happen, then we've got something we can work with. Then we can really say something about a Black church or Black churches that are actually moving into something that really looks like the kingdom, the realm of God. So I'll stop there.